Okay. Trying this again. Live 4/14/2025. Talking about space fakery, predictive programming, and Black Ops 2. And anything else you want to talk about, it's all fair game. So just a quick recap. China suspends rare earth exports, kneecaps U.S. industry. That's from The Drudge. And that's also from Black Ops 2, which begins in the year 2025, where China and the United States are in a Cold War after China stops exporting rare earth elements. This is followed by robot dogs, cyber warfare, unmanned vehicles, futuristic technology. And this is against the backdrop of Russia putting nukes in space, which also ties into Black Ops 2. We'll talk about the would-be assassins who've been arrested, Nikita Kaseup and Mr. Satan, and the connection there. Well, they're both kind of, I think this guy in particular, the Kaseup one, Nikita Kaseup, his dad is MAGA, and he's a neo-Nazi, and he wanted to kill Trump to save white people. But he was also part of the Order of Nine Angels, a satanic group. So there's a satanic thing, a theme, connecting them both. Kate Perry went to space with Lauren Sanchez and Gayle King and others. And this has been met with skepticism by people who know space travel doesn't exist. She said they were going up there to, quote, put the ass in astronaut. But afterward, they made it sound like this was a victory for feminism. That it's no longer about a big leap for all mankind, but humankind, because mankind is exclusive. So to be inclusive of womankind, it's now humankind. So this whole thing was also just a PR stunt with that. But I'm just saying, for her to reference, ask an astronaut on a mission with half a dozen women, that's kind of sexist. And not in the way that's on the right side of history from the DEI perspective. So it's a contradiction. Milo Yiannopoulos commented on it. He said it doesn't look like they actually got rattled on the way down from space. It looks fake. He even tweeted at Elon Musk. And Milo is Ye's campaign manager. So he's not necessarily a nobody here. He has a big following. And he says, this shit is spotless. Come on, Elon Musk. Call them out. You know this didn't happen. Now, he might not know how fake stuff is. He doesn't have the same security clearance as Kate Perry. Kate Perry is higher on the Illuminati pyramid than Milo Yiannopoulos, who doesn't know space is fake. He still thinks that Musk is competing with Bezos, and they're competing with NASA, and our space agency is competing with China. No, there's no competition in space. It's a monopoly, and it's the same special effects departments, essentially. Although, I don't know, I'm starting to wonder here. I don't think that SpaceX and Blue Origin have the same hair design or the same hair special effects that NASA does. Because NASA does the CGI hair. They do the hairspray hair. Look at Suni Williams. 9 months in space, 9 months of her hair being doused in hairspray so it sticks out straight like bristles in a broom. Because it's all obviously fake, and you can tell. Sometimes they use CGI hair. It's kind of wavy, also fake. But interestingly, when SpaceX sent his astronauts over the South Pole, the female astronaut's hair was flat, but they had a fan to blow it at one point, but not the whole time. In this case, I looked at the footage, and it's not one continuous shot. It's just a bunch of clips, because they can't show you the full 11 minutes, because it would reveal that the whole thing is a fake. But the way they did their hair was they had them obviously just blowing it with a fan. I mean, these are really cheap special effects for billionaires. I don't get it. Azealia Banks said, I don't think they even went to space. That shit was fake AF. How they back already? It's been 40 minutes. I'm not surprised that we have skepticism. I'm just glad to see it's not just, us. I'm glad to see it's people who have significant followings. Now, again, 11 minutes in space. You'd think that somebody would have 11 minutes worth of phone battery. Just record an 11-minute video. How hard can it be? Apparently, it's impossible. So here's Kate Perry not looking out the window, not looking at the Earth. Look, She's literally... Kate Perry is not looking out the window. For the brief time that she's in space, she has her face pressed up against the camera on the wall. I mean, that's sad. I don't know how else to describe this. She's getting a shot of herself holding this little flower. It's a daisy, which is symbolic of something. But again, her whole presentation here has been, this is female empowerment, but it's also about putting ass in astronauts, which again doesn't make a lot of sense to me. What is she saying about Mark Kelly and Don Petit? But anyway, why jump cuts? Here's 25 seconds. This is the first bit. Who had time to clip it like this? Why couldn't they just release the raw footage? There's not raw footage. Here's the hair swinging, not very convincing. Where's the raw footage of these astronauts floating around for 10 minutes or 3 minutes or however long they were in 0G? There isn't any. It's just a bunch of clips. And who had time to do this? This is proof that it's a hoax. If you believe they went to space, why can't they show us the raw footage without the clips? It's all jump cut. But let's continue. I have a lot of people on Twitter also expressing disbelief about this. And I don't know most of these people. Here's one. This is Pop Culture 2000 says, the way Kate Perry was more fascinated with the camera than being in space is taking me out. That's Addiction Baddie. Yeah, exactly. She has her face pressed up against the little camera lens. So here's the footage of them again, and they are faking it for a few seconds, and then it jumps to another clip. Just a Thought says, nothing about this feels genuine on any level. The never-ending spectacle. None of this is sickening, almost like they're daring us to call out the absurdity of what we're being constantly told to believe. Again, these are just randoms. I'm just noting people are mentioning how fake it appears. But the audience isn't very demanding if that's all it takes for them to believe. And it's not very much. So again, mentioning secretive Russian military satellites releasing a mystery object in space. Many believe Putin's going to deploy a space nuke. So last year, the #1 show on Netflix was Black Canary, where you had this Putin-looking character releasing a, quote, digital nuke that shuts the world down. Like a digital pandemic. So that's something to look forward to. Then you have Zero Day, Robert De Niro, same theme. Now we're living in Black Ops 2, a video game. And part of that is a high-altitude nuke detonation, which has significant implications for electromagnetic pulse. And then on top of this, China suspends rare earth exports, kneecaps U.S. industry right out of Black Ops 2. Again, Black Ops 2, I've never played the game, but people are noticing this. I think there's even some mainstream articles mentioning this. Black Ops 2 begins in 2025, where China and the U.S. are in a Cold War after China stops exporting rare earth elements. So what does this mean? Well, I think we're about to go into Cold War, I suppose. That would be one assumption. We also have the reoccurring theme of assassins. So 2 more assassins have been arrested. And one of them, of course, 17-year-old, killed his parents to get money to kill Trump to save white people. And he's part of a satanic cult called Order of the Nine Angels. The other one, Mr. Satan, threatened Trump and Musk. So there's the Satan thing. Again, I'm not quite sure. Mr. Satan, though, does have some connections to Tesla, Roadster, Starman. If you look at the anagram, Starman, Mr. Satan. But other than that, not sure what's with the 2 Satanists. And with 2 helicopter crashes we were talking about, what is it with the birthday girls dying at each of these events? So we're just looking at these different events and noting certain patterns, which are just peculiar. Let's continue. We talked about this a few minutes ago before the stream got cut off. Tony Soprano had a bandage on his head at the end of season 1 because he survived an assassination attempt. Sound familiar? Well, here's an old Vanity Fair article, How Tony Soprano Paved the Way for Donald Trump. This is 2016. So again, 2016, they're talking about Soprano and Trump, and then 2024, the end of season 1 comes true. And it's pretty layered because it goes beyond just Tony Soprano's ear getting cut. It also shot his glass of orange juice, which is a tie-in to Francis Ford Coppola and The Godfather, which ties into Megalopolis and Caesar and another Trump character who gets shot. I mean, these are all interconnected. So I have an article here about the Order of Nine Angels. The Order of Nine Angels is a satanic terrorist network in the UK, but it has branched out. Neo-Nazi ideology, Hermetic and modern pagan elements. And here they have this 7-pointed star. It's not really a star. I mean, it's kind of warped, but they advocate accelerationism, and they promote the idea that human history can be divided into aeons, each one containing a corresponding human civilization. And they believe the current aeon is that of the Western world, but that the evolution of this society is threatened by the Nazarene influence of Judeo-Christianity, and the order seeks to combat it to establish a new social order which it calls the Imperium. Now this is again Order of the Nine Angels. It says they need to form a galactic civilization where Aryan society will colonize the Milky Way. Now I'm going to go see Mickey 17, possibly tonight, but certainly by tomorrow, because there's a character in it who represents Trump, even though the director denies this. And he's played by Mark Ruffalo, who happens to have been born on JFK's death day, 11/22. Well, Mark Ruffalo, in this Trump-like character, it's a satire, is giving a speech about colonizing a white planet, which sounds like what we're talking about here. A galactic civilization for Aryan society. So colonizing a white planet. And he gets shot at, and a bullet grazes his head. Sound familiar? Another Trump proxy in a movie which has a character who's very reminiscent of Luigi. There's a huge anti-MAGA bent to the entire movie. And it mirrors what happened last July, which isn't possible because that scene had already been recorded before the event with Trump. So this means A, the simulation caused that director to predict the future unknowingly and all these people to act it out. Or B, all major movie productions are part of a closed system of propaganda that form as a framework for people to interpret world events. And there's no distinction to be made between Hollywood and the news. So it's one of the two things. Either we're looking at the result of the Matrix glitching and we're seeing it, or we're looking at propaganda in a very, not quite subliminal way, but very, I say indirect, but also targeted. I mean, it's indirect, but at the same time, it's I guess the word would be covert. But these connections are there. And they will tell you you're crazy for seeing these connections. There are conspiracy theorists who believe that these connections are the result of the universe. And it's sending its vibes into the directors to communicate the zeitgeist. And they will call me crazy because I'm pointing out all these connections. And I understand where they're coming from, or I guess I could have understood it. But we've piled up enough information that their claim that this is not man-caused really has no legs. You can't really claim it's all coincidence, but you can't claim that this is not the work of man. And the more we pile up, the more you'll see this is an absolute truth. And it matters. It matters that the fake news events every day, the ones that we're always noting, are aligned with precision to what's happening in the entertainment, what's going on in our imaginations, what's happening through the video games, like Black Ops 2. This is a pattern. This is systemic fakery, and we've been documenting this. It's not like we're connecting dots or this is a theory. Like maybe it's this or maybe it's the Matrix. No, it's not even a debate at this point. And the fact that this character, Mark Ruffalo, in Mickey 17 so closely approximates Trump and referenced that event and all that is also evidence, I think, of what we're saying, because I saw the trailer for the movie and I said it's going to contain relevant, concurrent, and predictive programming. So I'm going to go watch it and see what else is there. If I gleaned that just from a cursory search. And the only reason I found out that he had his face grazed by a bullet is AI told me. I have the AI doing these auto hoax Wikipedia articles and they're connecting these dots. So it's not me. These are objective, observable connections. So we're talking about the Order of Nine Angels, the Satanic terrorist network that Nikita Kasap belongs to, killed his parents, got some money, and was going to shoot Trump to start a revolution to colonize a white planet or something. So the Order of Nine Angels eschews any central authority or structure, but is a broad network called the Collective. The ONA. Sounds like a PSYOP group. I'm trying to figure out where Satan comes into this thing. But the thing about aeons, we were just talking about this. The OTO, the Order Templar Orientis, the New Age movement believes in aeons. And that we're moving into this new aeon. So the West falling ties into the idea of the age of Mars, where we make Earth Mars. Mars, the red planet, space communism, the green order. But this new age, age of Horus, age of Mars, it is very consistent with this idea of aeons. So let's see what else we have here. According to the Order's account, we're talking about the founding of this group. One of its founders had a coven in Finland, moved to London, and joined a group that practiced magic in the style of the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, and claimed a brief involvement with the Satanic group in Manchester. This is what people did before they had the internet, I guess. All these clubs. I think that could be an explanation for all these clubs and fraternities and such. It's a lot of it is just social. Just socializing. But this is an older movement. I haven't really studied them very much. I've seen their symbol. I've read some of their stuff. But it just, to me, this looks like something that the feds would run. A practical guide to Aryan revolution. None of this makes sense, especially when you look at even the construct of Satan as being kind of separate from this whole white nationalist thing, because they kind of move into the Norse mythology and they reject a lot of the what they call Abrahamic faith mythology. So none of this really makes sense to me, but just pointing it out because this group has been brought up in conjunction with this latest shooter. And the shooter being a right-winger or a neo-Nazi is something that was brought up by one of our callers recently. Okay, listen to this. Economic Times. It's not just us. Strange but true. 13 years ago, a game series predicted severe U.S.-China trade war in 2025. Where to play Call of Duty Black Ops 2. So the news is even talking about it. So what do you call this? Okay, well, if you're a synchromystic or a run-of-the-mill truther, you're going to say they have to tell us. You're going to say the elite have to tell us, or you're going to say the simulation. Okay, so we're having a lot of issues with my computer, and this is a new computer, so it shouldn't even be the computer. We're having a lot of issues with connections here, and I'm not having that issue on my other computer. Not quite sure what the deal is, but it's not all that productive. I mean, maybe we should just move to Zoom conferences and then stream them after. So I'll figure it out, but